Hey, everyone. Sandy Hall. You may call me Dr. Kennard. What are we doing today? This is the Disappointed Cat Morning Show. It's going to be covering all kinds of news stories through a secular view, through a secular lens. What are the stories we're covering today? I'm glad you asked. Crazy minister who was part of the Capitol uprising on January 6th. We're going to talk about just him spouting crazy word salad. We're going to have to talk about Kabul. We're going to have to talk about Kabul. No, not Kabul, the home of God in the Mormon faith, but the capital of Afghanistan. You might see that there are dollar bills, on the thumbnail today. Well, student loan forgiveness from the federal government for people who've been scammed by private colleges. You may not know this, but there are a fair amount, their number is legion, amount of unscrupulous educational, quote unquote, educational institutions here in the States that are just there to squeeze people for money. And Mississippi nurses. We've talked about this. We've talked about the fact that if you treat people like crap, if the state doesn't enforce mask mandates, public health policies, common sense public health policies, then you're going to burn out your people. Well, Mississippi is burning out its supply of nurses. All of that. So many more stories today, and maybe, perhaps, we have microphone might be paying us a visit. If I really get stressed out, I'll start talking to Mike. It's Friday. I'm hoping not to get too stressed out. I hope you're not stressed out. You want to do something funny? Let's do something funny.
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me. Do you have time to talk about our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ? Hey, don't run from the Lord! Where are you going?
That little piggy needs to run and run and run. What's going on? I hope everyone's doing well. Checking out the chat right now, saying hello to people. If this is your first time, feel free to contribute to the chat. You'll see that I interact quite a bit with folks in the chat. Hey, Simply Secular Dave from the West Coast. Hope you're doing well. From the Gulf Coast, Tobin Templeman. Glad to see you here, sir. So got to being super positive, right? I'm not negative. Scott, does that mean I'm being positive? I'm not really sure about that. Dr. Mordecai putting evangelical Christians on blast. They're in the chat. Good morning, Dee Parks. How's everyone doing today? Well, this one here, I'm not doing that badly. Grant Farmer from Minnesota. Hope you're doing well, Grant. Derek Cruz. Good morning, Derek. And Cap the Humanist. Awesome. Glad to see that you're all here. And do I see Tesla? Tesla Ranger. Hey. Pigs are unclean. That's why he's running? Is that the reason? All right, we'll go with that. I would like to think the little pig is running away from Jesus. That's how I'd like to think of it. But that's just me, everyone. Tomorrow morning, 11 a.m., Dr. Josh is going to be here on this channel live. We're going to be talking about his book, The Atheist Guide to the Old Testament, Volume 1. The link to buy the book is in the description below. All the links to the stories we're covering today are also in the description below. You want to do some memes before we start talking about Mississippi and the nurse crisis? Let's do some memes. I feel very memey this morning. Is that a word? Is that a verb? Is that an adjective? I don't know. Here we go. Yeah. If you could just take me out for a walk, that'd be great. Look at that corgi. He just wants attention. Or they, she, I don't know. The corgi just, of course, that's a call. That's a reference to Office Space, right? Freaking fantastic movie, Office Space. Come on, you don't need a union. If you keep working hard and put your company's interest before your own, then the company will share its prosperity with you, right? Right? Isn't that how capitalism is? Isn't that how it's supposed to work? Yeah, it doesn't work like that, everyone. It doesn't work like that at all. No. And the last meme, you're saying this is the Disappointed Cat Morning Show, Dr. Kennard. Where are the cats? Here. Me, trying to explain why my cat can't have more treats, and my cat... I've discovered with my own cat, Biscuit, if I keep giving that cat treats, that cat will just keep wanting treats. That cat will want treats regardless of whether or not, how many treats I give it. I give the cat 0 treats, the cat wants treats. I give the cat a lot of treats, the cat wants treats. It's just a little treat machine. By the way, I put a poll in the community section on the YouTube page, right, for the channel, about whether or not microphone, yay, with zany googly eyes. See, he kind of shakes a little bit right there. Or nay. Now, and you can put your comments also, but please vote. Please vote. I'm only bringing microphone on when I start talking to microphone right now, because if I just have him here all the time while I'm talking about serious issues, I think I might get distracted. That's what I think. But tell me what you think. So right now, microphone, you're just going to be off camera for a while. All right. And thank you for your contributions, those of you who helped make Zany Eye microphone a thing. Okay, going to check out the chat one more time before we start talking about the nurse crisis in Mississippi. Hey, John Hudson. Hope you're doing well. Yay, right, Sammy Jenkins? I know you're a big. I know you're a big supporter of microphone here. Girlfriend. Yeah, everyone seems to be happy with microphone with googly eyes. The microphone does have a lot of charisma. I'm actually afraid of microphone upstaging me, to tell you the truth. Maybe as the more I get used to microphone with googly eyes, maybe microphone will be more on camera. I don't know. I have to feel it out, everyone. Girlfriend and I went out to see Wait, Don't Tell Me, the NPR news quiz game show, because we're big geeks. So we saw a live recording yesterday, and Peter Sagal, the host, it made me feel good that he messed up a few of his lines, not a lot of his lines, but it made me feel better about myself watching a professional screw up. All right. Did Sammy dye his hair? I think he might have. I think Sammy might have dyed his hair right there. All right, first story. Let's stop fooling around. We're already 9 minutes into the show. We got to start talking about the apocalypse, right? At least 2,000 Mississippi nurses have resigned since the beginning of the year, severely straining hospitals as COVID cases multiply. Who would think that Mississippi would be the perfect brew, the perfect maelstrom of dysfunction between a poorly educated population, poor public health policies, evangelical extremism, I guess that's redundant, and now the health system is suffering. Here, let's just go to the panel. At least 2,000 nurses in Mississippi have resigned since the beginning of the year, according to a report from CNN, leaving hospitals understaffed as the Delta variant continues to ravage the state. It looks heroic, Nicole Atherton, a nurse who resigned from Singing River Ocean Springs Hospital, to CNN, but that's not what it is. It's sweaty and hard and chaotic and bloody. And it's hard to live in this every day and then go home and live a normal life. When CNN asked Buddy Gager, That's how I'm pronouncing Buddy's name. Nursing manager for personal care at Singing River Ocean Springs Hospital. If the healthcare system was reaching a breaking point, he replied, I think we already broke. At a news conference on Tuesday, state epidemiologist Dr. Paul Byers said Mississippi set a new record for COVID-19 deaths in one day. 111 deaths were reported in a state with a population slightly over 3 million people. That seems like a lot of people. That does seem like a lot of people. All right. Yet, at least 771 medical, surgical, and 235 intensive care unit beds in the state were going unused last week due to a lack of staff to man them. So there's all these people sick, people dying. There are empty beds because why, microphone? You know why, Andy. You're right, Dr. Kennedy. You're right, microphone. I know why. The reason why is that they're just burning out staff. They're just burning out staff, overusing them, not having enough people to serve the sick, and that's why those beds are empty. Lee Bond, the head of the Singing River Hospital System, told CNN that he is urging the state to use some of its $1.8 billion in COVID-19 relief funds on retention bonuses for nurses to keep them from quitting. Gosh, maybe they should have fucking done that earlier, huh? Maybe this has been completely predictable. Maybe this is one of the things I've been saying for months now, is that you're going to see burnout. You're going to see people leaving the field. You're going to see people just doing other crap. Mississippi Governor Tate Reeves announced on Tuesday at the Tuesday news conference that more than 1,000 contract healthcare workers are headed to Mississippi to try and meet the staffing demands in 50 of the state's hospitals. Reeves said the federal government, will reimburse the state for $80 million that will have to pay to the supplemental healthcare workers. So, all right. So some of you are from other countries, right? Some of you in the chat who are watching, we have a lot of Commonwealth people here, people in the common British Commonwealth, like Canada, Australia, New Zealand. And your first responses would probably be like, gosh, maybe if you didn't have a shit healthcare system to begin with, maybe, perhaps Mississippi wouldn't have to be sending in healthcare workers to help plug the leaks to the system that's already broken. Wow, maybe it would be cheaper if they did that too. Perhaps, probably, yes, that's exactly true. Checking out the chat. Let's see. I'm talking about Sammy's hair. We need robot nurses. I don't think the technology is there just yet. I don't think the technology is there just yet. I would still say creating or having a society that doesn't suck is probably the best bet. It doesn't matter how many robot nurses you have. If the society that you live in doesn't educate its population, if they just don't have good policies, good healthcare, public health policies, you can have all the robotic nurses and robotic doctors in the world. And if your population is still taking ivermectin, right, which is a dewormer for sheep and cows and horses, then yeah, all that fancy dancy robots would not help. All right. So what's wrong with Google with the googly eyes? They might take issue with the googly eyes, right? And I think microphone shares Sammy's thoughts with fuck Google, right? Right. All right. Good morning, Jenna. How are you doing this morning? Yeah, we're talking about Mississippi down 2,000 nurses since the beginning of the year because they're just getting burned out. They're leaving the field. That was the first story. Little ray of sunshine there this morning. Sean says, there's no excuse for people not to take COVID precautions. Get the damn vaccine. I'm trying to maintain my sense of empathy towards the COVID idiots who get infected, but it's getting very difficult. Yeah, I've said it once and I'll say it again, Sean. I feel you. For the everyday COVID idiot, I do feel a certain amount of empathy because, most of us here have been victimized by religion in some way, right? Most of us have been victimized. And it's the people who are the ringleaders, the grifters, the people who are just doing this for cash and just doing it for political gains. Those are the people I don't have any empathy for. Very little empathy, perhaps. No empathy, maybe. No measurable empathy. If they get COVID, then yeah. That's just natural selection. Natural selection. All right. What are we going to be? All right. There's some money. There's some financial stuff we're going to be talking about today about people's bad loans or people's loans to these crooked schools. They're being forgiven, at least in some cases, everyone. All right. I don't want you to get, it's a good story. It's a positive story, but this is still the United States of America. And, there's always a something negative in otherwise cloud. There's a saying of there's always a silver lining in the cloud, right? It's inverse with this particular story. But before we get to that, evictions are going to start happening here in the States again. And I have a video to share with you about that. Let's take a look. What is this video? I'm glad you asked. It is Supreme Court allows evictions to resume during the pandemic. That seems like a grand. I don't see how that could be a problem whatsoever, right? Let's check out this video here. And let me make sure it's queued up properly. I think it has. And let's do this thing, everyone.
Right now, millions of Americans are once again facing eviction after a late-night ruling by the Supreme Court. The justices blocking the Biden administration's temporary ban during the pandemic. And News 6 reporter Treasure Roberts joins us now live in Orange County. Treasure, this could have major implications for both renters and landlords.
Yes, after a 6-3 decision from the U.S. Supreme Court last night, landlords everywhere can now again start the process of evicting tenants with past due rent. Nearly 6.2 million households are behind on rent nationwide, and thousands of those people are right here in Central Florida. The CDC had put this latest moratorium into place earlier this year, saying it would allow people more time to get vaccinated and avoid having to move in with other family members as cases of the coronavirus begin to surge. But landlords say extensions on the eviction ban have seriously hurt their pockets, with the freeze requiring some property owners to pay for expenses without any income from renters. Ultimately, the court ruled the CDC did exceed its authority by not having this go through Congress. A statement from White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki reads, as a result of this ruling, families will face the painful impact of evictions, and communities across the country will face greater risk of exposure to COVID-19. Now, President Biden is calling on local courts and landlords to do more to prevent people from being forced out of their homes. Live in Orlando, Treasure Roberts, getting results, News 6.
How do you make situations worse? Throwing poor people out into the streets during a pandemic. I think that's the way how you can make the situations worse. Is crazy ideas, everyone. Yeah, I said ideas. I'll drink. Crazy ideas. Healthcare is a right. Housing is a right. This, especially during a pandemic, it seems that conservatives just want to make the situation worse. That's what it seems like to me. It doesn't even, I don't really think that they want to make it worse, but just all of their decisions, or 90%, we won't say all of their decisions, but just 90% of the decisions, especially, at the federal, state, politically, just make things worse. Scapegoat Iscariot says, I have a lot of empathy for the deceived, none for the deceivers. The problem is not always clear who is who. I'll say this. If you have a platform, if you have a social media platform, if you like Joe Rogan, I'm sorry, microphone's like going, you're going to talk about Joe Rogan again? I'm going to talk about Joe Rogan again because he popped off about people not needing vaccines again recently. And that makes you, yes, microphone, that does make me, it makes me pretty mad. And I'll tell you why. Is that if you have a platform of any kind, especially if you have a large platform, then you should be fucking responsible for the messages that you put out. Does that seem extreme? No. Microphone, I like that. You see how his little eyes shake? I don't know if you can hear it, but he's like, no, that's not crazy. So, if you have a large platform and if you're telling people not to get vaccinated, then yeah, maybe my empathy goes down quite a bit in case you get the virus and suffer for it. All right, I'm gonna. Well, this is it, right, Alex, Sean? Now we get to see municipalities are going to deal with a huge influx of homeless families. Yeah, there's no infrastructure for that. Making the situation worse. Yeah, exactly. You think we have a shit circus here right now? Hold my beer. And because it's this, federal Supreme Court, I don't know how it's going to affect blue states, right, or cities and municipalities that have put these restrictions on for people, in their district, in their area. Yes, I'm not sure, because in theory, possibly that because it's the Supreme Court making the decision for the entire states, it could just be covering everybody, whether you're in Mississippi, Florida, or Massachusetts or Connecticut. So that's what I'm afraid of, is that landlords all around the country are going to be able to evict people. And that's terrifying for families, kids being out on the streets. Let's see. All right. Well, that's Make America Like Afghanistan. Well, it is going to be a religious state. Afghanistan is a religious state of fanatics. All right. Microphone looks like a baby seal, says Galen. Oh, maybe that's true. I don't know. I haven't really seen a lot of pictures of baby seals. I'll have to. What do you think, Microphone? Microphone's not upset or insulted by the comparison. All right. What are we doing here? What's the next story? Oh, student loans forgiven. If you, all right, recenter, focus. There are private colleges here. And am I gonna physically use air quotes? I'm sorry for doing it. Private colleges that are just there to squeeze money out of you, right? Out of students. And some of these colleges, and I know someone who had their, and I've told this story before. I had a person I was dating, and her son, who had a disability, enlisted into one of these private colleges, everyone. And the admissions officer faked his entrance exam, basically. They basically fudged the numbers. Now, this woman, single mom, doesn't have a lot of money at all. She had to shell out, I think it was $30,000 for the schooling. And when the kid dropped out, which he did because he wasn't appropriate for that setting, she still had to pay half of it, which is $15,000, which is a lot of money for a person like her. And this is the kind of predatory education system that we have here in the States. All right, let me see if I can find this story. Student loan forgiveness. Education Department discharges $1.1 billion in debt for 115,000 ITT students. The Education Department is charging $1.1 billion for 115,000 defrauded former students for the for-profit ITT Technical Institute. After a new review of existing regulations, ITT Technical Institute filed for bankruptcy in 2016 and shut down all campuses, affecting 149 locations and roughly 40,000 students, amid lawsuits and investigations over alleged predatory lending practices. For years, ITT had hid its true financial state from borrowers while luring many of them into taking out private loans and misleading and unaffordable terms that may have caused borrowers to leave school. U.S. Secretary of Education Miguel Cardona said in a statement, "Today's action continues the department's efforts to improve and use its targeted loan relief authorities to deliver meaningful help to student borrowers." I remember seeing ITT Tech commercials when I was growing up. They were all over the place. And you see the thing about these private schools, you'll see the ads on TV, on the internet, you'll hear them on the radio. They specifically target poor people of color, as well as poor white people, but they definitely target people who don't know better. Just go to your community college. That's the thing. Community colleges are a great resource for people who are trying to make higher education affordable. But the thing is, state-funded community colleges, you don't see ads for them. What you see ads are for these shitty schools. The affected borrowers did not complete the degree or credential at ITT and left on or after March 31st, 2008. ED, Education Department, estimates that 43% of these borrowers had defaulted on their loans. To be eligible for a closed school discharge, the borrower must not have completed their program or transferred their credits or hours to another school, ED explained in a press release. Discharges are also available to any borrower who withdrew from the institution within a few months of its closing. Eileen Connor, legal director of Harvard's Project on Predatory School Lending, which represents many defrauded student loan borrowers, asserted that $1.1 billion discharge still doesn't go far enough. One of ITT's notorious scam tactics was enrolling students in a worthless associate's program, and once a student completed the program, ITT convinced them to enroll in a bachelor's program, which students were often unable to complete. Connor told Yahoo Finance, "Many of our clients experienced this particular scheme, talked into multiple degrees and a mountain of debt. It is unclear from today's announcement whether all of their loans, including from the associate's degree, would be canceled." An ED official told Yahoo Finance that ITT Tech associate program debt, if the program was completed, did not qualify for the latest discharge. Connor added that it's been 5 years since ITT shut down, yet the department still has not addressed more than 700,000 borrowers with over $3 billion in fraudulent debt from ITT. We are again calling on the department to do what is right when it sees evidence of widespread fraud. Our clients should not have to wait another day for the cancellation of loans. Never should have been made in the first place. People just need to go to jail. If you're complicit in the system, if you're a decision maker, if you crafted this policy from ITT Tech, you should go to jail. Otherwise, this kind of activity will just keep going. If there's a clear plan, a scheme to commit fraud, go to jail. Checking out the chat. Yeah, in the city where I grew up in, Brockton, Massachusetts, there was in fact, I got an associate's degree from a, community college, and then I went to a state-funded, regular 4-year school and completed my bachelor's degree there. But community colleges are a great resource if you want to do your first 2 years on the cheap, or at least cheaper. Grant says, community colleges are great. I taught at one for a while. And that's ITT Tech, yeah, Janet, you've probably seen the commercials. ITT Technical Institute, educated for the future. It's in my brain. It is in mine too. And once again, they specifically targeted people who didn't know better. Low information individuals. What's up, Phil? And B, glad to see that you're here, B. Always a pleasure. Can you do anything high tech? I remember those commercials from ITT. They were everywhere. They were everywhere here. Hey, there are good schools that are private. These are for-profit schools. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Though I will say that if you're going, they're private two-year colleges, right? And they're good two-year private colleges, but typically the state schools are cheaper. If cost is on your mind. All right. Oh, well, John Hudson, if you didn't know John Hudson, he is shepherding his grandson and doing distance kindergarten classes. I don't even know what that's like. I would just be intrigued to see what goes on. I remember my kindergarten days, and there was a lot of running and playing around. Well, Sean, you're right. Education should not be a for-profit venture. It should be treated as an investment in the future of our society. Totally. Oh, John Hudson. Hit like, yeah, I'm forgetting to ask people to hit like. And it's already past the time we do the tummy rub halftime show. Did I just see that Sweden offers university at no cost? Bam. That's what I just saw. Phil Lister, Swedish university, no cost. Yeah, it's education is a right, especially in a society where you're expected to get at least a bachelor's degree, right? I mean, there's just an expectation out here that you need to have a bachelor degree for a job, unless you're in the trades. And to tell you the truth, there's a lot of good opportunities in trades too. I don't want to sound like I'm knocking on the trades, because I'm not. But Sweden, with a free universities, that's something to aspire to, something to work towards. All right, everyone. I'm running late this morning. This is the halftime tummy rub show where we do some funny video. And I guess I'm supposed to ask people to hit the like button. If you find value in what I'm doing here, please hit the like button. If you find value in what I'm doing, what's going on in the chat, being entertained, learning something, please hit the subscribe button and hit the bell, and you will notice no freaking ads. No ads for ITT. You know, that's what I hate. I hate when I'm watching some kind of leftist-leaning content on YouTube, or atheist, secular content on YouTube, and then I see something for, evangelical fascists. That burns me. Okay, halftime tummy rub show. Once again, there's no ads on this channel. Completely supported by YouTube members and patrons. Did I throw my Venmo information down in the description? Yes, I finally did. Did I throw my PayPal information in the description? Yes, I finally did. So, whatever way you want to contribute, if you can. If you can't, keep it, just kick back and enjoy the content, everyone. I'm going to do something funny right here, right now. Right, microphone? Something funny? Microphone says, yeah, it's that time, Andy.
The last time I ever went to Super Fundamentalist Church, it was about to be National Coming Out Day, and my church wanted to do something for National Coming Out Day, but against it. And they were like, Kevin, would you get up and speak? And I was like, yes. And they were like, great, would you get up and say, Jesus made me not gay? And I was like, that isn't true. And they were like, never mind, this wasn't a good idea. And then I showed up for church on National Coming Out Day, and they'd found some weird guy that no one had ever seen before, and he told this horrific story about getting abducted by a satanic cult, and that's what made him gay. And everyone was like, amen. And for the first time, I was like, who are you people?
Who are you people? Brainwashed and dangerous. That's who they are, friend. That is who they are. What an insane story. What an insane story. Coming out day. And they're like, sure, you wanna come out of the closet? Sure you can. No, not really. You can't do that. You can't do that. Jesus wants you to be pushed back into the closet, right? That's the insanity of evangelical Christianity right there. All right. Let's see. Just check out the chat right here. Why, thank you, Donna. I'm glad that you appreciate the show. I do my work. I do my best to make this entertaining and informative at the same time. Dee Parks says, education, infrastructure, and investments for the future is essential. Yeah, you would think so. You would think that would be just obvious to everyone, right? Tesla Ranger says, we're the members of the cult you've joined. Who do you think we were? Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I mean, when you join the cult, this is just common strategy, right, for cultists. They don't tell you how crazy they are up front. They'll do the soft sell, right? They'll tell you the things you want to hear. Like, hey, it's all about community and love and understanding. And then they tell you about the hell and the craziness and the insanity after. They don't bring the difficult material up front. They try to lure you in. The Divine Sorcerer. Hello, Divine Sorcerer. All right. What's the next story we're covering? Kabul. Well, we got to fucking talk about that, everyone. 37 minutes. These neo-colonial wars that the U.S. insists on fighting. Don't end well. A vast majority of them do not go well. Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan. And now, of course, we have dead Marines and dead Afghanis. Let's just get to the story. Links in the description below, everyone. You couldn't get away from this story. I don't know if you heard Joe Biden talk yesterday. I was driving, or the girlfriend was driving, and we heard him. Not a great rhetorician. Not inspiring, I would say. That's just my personal opinion about Joe Biden. As many of you know, I believe, and I think the data might support me in this, that if it wasn't for COVID and Donald Trump's horrible handling of COVID, Joe Biden would not be president of the United States right now. But he is, so, and it's for the better. U.S. presses on with the evacuation from Afghanistan after a deadly Kabul airport attack. Of course, the attacks happened yesterday. The U.S. has vowed to continue the evacuation of American citizens and allies from Afghanistan as U.S. troops brace for the threat of more terrorist attacks following 2 deadly bombings at Kabul's airport. At least 90 Afghans died, and another 140 were injured Thursday, an official with Afghanistan's Ministry of Health said, after suicide bombers and gunmen attacked panicked crowds outside the airport. According to the Pentagon, 13 U.S. service members were killed and 18 others injured in the attack. 10 Marines were among the troops killed, and several more were wounded. Marine spokesman Major Jim Stenger said the identities and units of those killed wouldn't be announced until after relatives are notified. He added, the assault came as the U.S. and other Western countries were racing to evacuate their citizens and Afghan allies ahead of the August 31st deadline after the Taliban retook control of the country. Thousands of Afghans have been gathering at the airport's gates in recent days in hopes of being evacuated. Footage posted on social media on Thursday after the explosion showed chaotic scenes of crowds trying to help the wounded amid bodies on the ground. Photos showed bloodied people being transported away from the scene in wheelbarrows. Video shot by local Afghan journalists in the wake of the blast appears to show people continuing to gather near the airport perimeter despite the enormous personal risk. ISIS in Khorasan, known as ISIS-K, has claimed responsibility for the attack. but provided no evidence to support the claim. U.S. officials have said the group was likely behind the atrocity. Are we going to talk about Bush the Elder? Microphone about George W. Bush, right? I mean, it's difficult not to, at least taking a pause in the middle of the story and talk about what kind of fucking shit president Bush the Younger was. Invaded Afghanistan, did a half-assed job. And we've covered this in so many different ways on this fucking channel, right? Microphone? We've covered this in so many different ways. Got to get microphone more into frame. That they half-assed the reconstruction of the country of Afghanistan when we invaded Iraq. Why? Because Republicans, the military, were sucking their own dicks. They were on a roll, and they thought, we knocked down one country, let's knock down another country. There's a variety of other reasons too, of course. But so this predictable, sadly predictable, because we've also covered before, right? Because this is, in case you're just tuning in, one of the themes, one of the threads that we cover is that one revolution typically follows another revolution, or that there are many different revolutions going on at once. ISIS-K, they don't like the Taliban. Why? Because they're not their particular brand of crazy. So you have radicals within a radical, or radicals fighting radicals, while the United States of America and our allies are trying to get out of the country at the same time. I know you dislike George W. Bush too. Microphone. I know you do. It's cool. All right, we should just go on. Speaking from the White House, U.S. President Joe Biden said evacuations would not be stopped by the attack, and that he had ordered the U.S. military commanders to develop plans to strike ISIS-K assets, leadership, and facilities. We will not forgive. We will not blah, blah platitudes. About 7,500 people were evacuated from Kabul over the course of 12 hours between 3 a.m. and 3 p.m. ET on Thursday. The White House said it's unclear how many of these evacuations took place after the attack. Once again, I don't know if you heard the speech. There's some God talk there. God talk. Maybe people's imaginary friend helped us, got us into this situation to begin with, right? I should also let you know, everyone, that that microphone here is sitting on top of several books, and one of those books happens to be my stunt Quran. My Quran right here. I have a couple of copies of the Quran, but this is my stunt Quran here. Just to let you know. More than 18,700 evacuees from Afghanistan have come through the U.S. airbase in Ramstein in Germany so far, according to the airbase's public affairs office, and the huge influx of more than 10,000 evacuees are expected to arrive over the coming hours. French President Emmanuel Macron warned the situation around the airport had seriously deteriorated in the wake of the blast. As we speak, we have 20 buses of dual citizens and Afghans that we would like to be able to repatriate, he said. I cannot guarantee that we will be successful because the security situation is out of our control. I'm just going to end it there because it's such, I mean, whatever I read for the rest of the story, it's everything relevant. We just went over. I'm going to check out the chat. What's that? Microphone. We might just do something funny right after this. Just because this is such a shit show of a fucking story, I think that we might just do that. Here we go. Let's see. Sammy says, if America actually did half the stuff they were in these countries, it wouldn't be a massive problem when they leave. Well, you know, there is a saying that you should have the end in mind when you start out a project, right? You should just plan things out. How you're going to get out of, if you are making a mess, maybe you should be figuring out a way. It's like what Colin Powell said, you know, if you break something, you own it. It's the Pottery Barn rule. You break a country, well, congratulations, now you own it. Well, at least the Quran serves some purpose. That's right. Man, just so much stuff, man. Just so much in the chat. Just I've been following this administration. May not be better than the last, but I'll say this. At no point during Joe Biden's administration do I think white supremacists or fascists are going to take over the country. Like I've said on other shows and on this channel, I've been guests on other shows and I've said this, is that if Joe Biden is trying to slow the rot, Republicans are trying to accelerate the rot of this country as fast as they can. Okay. I think I caught up with chat. How are we doing? 46 minutes in? What other stories? Oh, crazy. All right. My promise to you all. I'm going to show you a little bit about a crazy minister, and then we're going to do something funny. Then we're going to close out the show. We're doing the after party after show at 10. The link, if you want to be on the panel, is in the description below. So that starts out at 10. You want to just do something? We're going to look at a crazy pastor. He was part of the Capitol riot on January 6th, the insurgency. And now what's he preaching? It's all about the gays. It isn't fascism. That's the problem. It's the gays. Of course it is. The story, I found out about this story from, of course, the Friendly Atheist. This is not written by Hammett himself, but it's because he has people writing for him, right? Florida pastor charged in Capitol riot urges GOP to rise up against homosexuality. Oh, my fictitious God. Here we go. Earlier this year, Kevin Tuck, an officer with the Windermere Police Department in Florida. Of course, he's a fucking pastor, too. Participated, he's a cop, participated in the attack on the U.S. Capitol. He was arrested and charged with crimes connected to his alleged participation in July and then resigned the very same day. But unlike many other people facing similar charges, including that of his adult son, Tuck isn't keeping quiet. In a YouTube video released this month, the former cop, who also served as pastor at the Lighthouse Church in Apopka, urged patriots to rise up against homosexuality. All right, I'm going to do a little quote. Here's this quote. The Republican Party is weak, Kevin Tuck said. We need to rise up and be conservative again. Do you remember what conservative means, Republicans? Hear me out. We are embracing the homosexual lifestyle as if this is normal. But I don't know how long it's going to take for us to find out when this guy is gay, right? He's like closeted. He's repressed. I don't know, but take a look at the video. I think this guy, it's a matter of maybe, it's going to happen at some point, everyone. Oh, this clown. All right, let me see. I'm going to try to share this video. All right, Patriot Pastor. That's what he calls himself. Of course, he calls himself the Patriot Pastor. And I'm only going to subject you to a few, maybe not even a minute, of this guy like talking smack. Here we go.
Good Monday morning. Pastor Kevin here, the Patriot Pastor, coming to you on this Monday morning. Just want to touch base with you in reference to things that are happening in this nation. Things are moving very, very fast. And I want to encourage pastors and patriots to rise up and do what they're supposed to do, to raise people up and to get them to action. Nothing is more important. We look at January 6th. January 6th was a day that patriots just were fed up. They were fed up. Patriots are being arrested left and right, day after day, being arrested for trespassing? You got to be kidding me. You could steal an election. You could steal an election.
See, what's the over-under that he's gay, repressed? Pretty high, I would say. Pretty high, everyone. Sammy Jenkins, thank you for the 2 Australian dollars, sir. Thank you. Since I am out of work right now, every penny counts, right? Because if this is, I'm not going to start microphone. I'm not going to go on about how I left a job because I got a new job, but then the new job fell through. Even after they gave me the papers, they gave me the signing papers. Hey, congratulations, you have a job with us. I'm not going to start talking about that again because believe me, the 5 hours that the girlfriend and I spent in the car yesterday, that subject did come out at least once or twice because I still have anchors about it. On the bright side, I did get an email back from a potential employer. So I'm going to be talking with them about a potential job. We'll see what happens. But thank you. I appreciate it. B says, I used to live near Apopka, Florida, and I'm not shocked. Yeah. Well, that's right, Scott Duke. One day, probably sooner than later, he'll be found in a convenience store bathroom stall tapping his feet. Right. Indeed. That is God's pastor, Dr. Mordecai. You're right. The louder they are, the more likely they are to be caught. I'm not going to read all that, Sean. I'm not going to read all that. But yes, I agree. I agree with you. All right. What have we covered over? What stories have we covered today? Mississippi having a nurse crisis. Why? Because it's Mississippi. Bad policies. Burning out their healthcare workers. They're having to ship workers in from out of state. They lost 2,000 nurses since the beginning of this year. There are empty ICU beds because they don't have healthcare workers. And now their solution is to ship them in from other states. It's a crazy story. If you're new, if you just got here, it's the first story we covered. Student loan forgiveness, which is a very positive thing. Yay, us. Still a lot more work to be done. On the other hand, horribly, the Supreme Court just said that landlords can start evicting people again. We talked about Kabul, the shitstorm going on in Afghanistan right now, and we talked about that minister, Kevin Tuck, the Patriot pastor. What a clown. Let's do something funny. Let's do this thing.
Sitting on my foot, yeah, but you're getting mad if I try to pet you. Seems pretty illogical, baby, but then again, I ain't moving you. Why would I move?
Well, that doesn't make you feel better. I don't know what will, to tell you the truth. Hopefully that put a smile on your face, everyone. I'm going to do the thank you video for patrons, for YouTube members. Once again, Sammy, thanks for the super chat. And thank you, John Hudson. I don't think you're here. You're probably doing kindergartening with your grandchild. But thank you, John. Venmoed me some cash, $20 the other day, which I appreciate. So I'm going to do the thank you video. And then I'll see you all at 10 for the after party after show. Please hit the like button here. Once again, we have Dr. Josh Digital Hammurabi on this channel at 11 a.m. tomorrow. It's a live show. If you want to ask him questions about the Old Testament, the man's brilliant. Check it out. But right now, thank you, video, and I'll see you at 10, everyone.